Hey there, and welcome to the Academy. In this video, I'm going to be showing you one of the decks that I run at 4K MMR that work pretty well. It's a foglet multiplying deck. They then boost with things like Triss Butterfly Spell and Yennefer, mostly her Unicorn. You also swarm the field with a lot of monsters so we can get the most value out of it. There's the pros to this deck, I'd have to say, are it has very high burst potential. You can easily get 23 to 40 and then 46 power within 2 turns, which is a lot that they don't see coming. There's a lot of deck thinning between the 3 foglets that you're running and then the 3 crones. If things go well on turn 1, you can usually thin your deck by 5 cards, even with you with only 10 cards left to draw from, so you're pretty much guaranteed to get what you need as long as you don't get a dead hand in the first turn. There is a decent amount of carryover. You got the 3 Selena Harpies, the 3 Earth Elementals with their Death Wishes. That'll give you more creatures on the board round 2. There's damage over time with the Fog. It's only 2 damage per turn, but it adds up, and you're not trying to spam the whole field with fogs. You want to use them wisely, usually like 1 a turn round. And you're also safe from cards like Manodrome and Becker's Twisted Mirror, since you don't rely on boosting so much. And when you do boost your cards, you're boosting like 12 of them, so they can't deal with them with just a Manodrome. And the Becker's Twisted Mirror, you usually always have the lowest unit on the board. You have the Harpy Eggs, which are 1/1s. You have the Fire Elementals, lesser Fire Elementals that are 1/1s. Then you got the Rabid Wolves from the Woodland Spirit. They're all 1s. And besides that, you got a lot of 2s in here too. It also has a fun combo that you don't always get to pull off, because once you have like 15 cards on the field that you can boost and you play Yennefer, you'll see that the opponent just surrenders a lot. So you don't even get to see the value that you get of like your power jumping by 30. But when you do get to see it, it is pretty fun. The downsides, you can draw cards you don't want. Since you're running 5 cards that you don't want to see in your starting hand, like the Foglets, you don't want any of them in your starting hand, or any of the Crones. Well, you want 1 Crone. So you can end up with a bricked hand. Scorch can also be a problem on the round that you play Triss Butterfly Spell, because she'll be boosting everything up by 1. And when everything reaches the same power, if the opponent doesn't have a card higher than that power, they can just Scorch and your whole field will be gone. So you gotta watch out for that. Weather Clear can sort of hurt this deck, because you'll lose your Foglets, and since one of the points is multiplying them, you can end up losing like 7 creatures on the board if they clear skies one of your fogs. There's nothing to take care of boosted enemies in this deck either. No Manodromes, nothing like that. So that's usually not a problem when you're running against spy decks or discard decks, because you can deal with 3 units that have 16 power pretty easily and overpower them. But it ends up being a problem in the Dwarf Resistance decks, where they boost up 3 resistance units for all the carryover, because you won't have anything to deal with that on round 2, and if you lose round 1, you pretty much lost the game. There's also other weather cards can also hurt Triss Butterfly Spell, only on the turn that you have her out. And the worst weather card is Torrential Rain or Blizzard, because they'll damage your lowest units, which will pretty much cancel out her effect, because she'll just keep boosting the lowest unit and it'll be always damaging your lowest unit. And Lacerate, the last thing is Lacerate. Lacerate's not so bad, but if it's played correctly and it's on the turn that you plan on running Yennefer, and using her unicorn to boost all your cards up, then it's going to be a big problem, because if they wipe away like 7 or 8 of your creatures with a lacerate right before you play her, you're going to be losing out on 16 power, possible 32 if you're using decoy on the unicorn. But that's it for the pros and cons, I'd say. Now, for the deck build, I run 3 foglets. It's a foglet deck, and you want to multiply them. 3 Selena Harpies, because they give you 2 more creatures, and their 1/1 eggs have some carryover. Really helpful for round 2. I run 3 Necker Warriors. These are used to multiply your foglets, so you can have like 5, 7, or 9 if you're really lucky in your deck, and then you're getting 9 creatures out when you play whenever you manage to play a fog. Then also got 3 Earth Elementals, because it's a 6 power, has a shield that can help you out sometimes, surprisingly. And it's Death Wish of summoning 2 Lesser Elementals when it dies. Gives you more creatures for the next round. Also running Geels. Draw the top gold or top silver card from your deck, play one and return the other to the top of your deck. He's really good for deck thinning. You could run Resurrect instead of him to get back your Yennefer or Triss butterfly spell, but I prefer Geels just because you deck thin more, and that's always great. Running a Triss butterfly spell. She's one of the main cards of the deck. She'll boost all your lowest units by 1, and since you're running a lot of 1/1s and 2s, you'll quickly start gaining more and more power from that card, and it can get pretty out of control. Like, you'll be getting 5 power on the first turn you play her, and then all of a sudden it'll turn into 8 and then 12 power, and it just adds up to a lot. Then there's the Woodland Spirit. He'll spawn 3 Rabid Wolves and apply Fog to the opposite row. Both these effects are great for this deck. The 1/1s, 3 extra units, Fog that'll summon your Foglets again. He's another must. Then there's Yennefer. Yennefer is the funnest card of the deck, and you don't really get to fully play her a lot of the times. But she'll spawn a Unicorn or Cronex. Cronex does 2 damage to everything on the field. Unicorn does 1. You'll always be wanting to use the Unicorn because you'll always have more monsters on the field with this deck. Unless you're facing a mirror match, of course, and you don't get your clear skies and stuff, they could possibly have more. Then there's Water Hag. Water Hag is great for mirror matches, just overall any other deck. Mostly for the clear skies or lacerate. You can take care of that blizzard that's messing with your butterfly spell, or you can just use lacerate. Get like 9, 12 value out of it usually. Then, like every other monster deck, there's 3 Crones in here. 20 power, 2 card deck thinning. It's great. It's definitely worth the 3 silver spots. Then we're running 1 Fire Elemental, because you can only run 1, but it spawns 3 lesser Fire Elementals, which are all 1/1 creatures. More creatures on the board. This deck has a lot of that, which is what makes it good. 2 Fogs, only 2. There's no reason to run 3. You're not planning on spamming the board with Fogs. You just want to use them to get more Foglets out. So having 4 Fogs overall is plenty in this deck. And it's kind of funny because the nerf to weather is actually what made this deck viable again. Well, more viable. It's not such a troll deck anymore. Then I'm running 1 Shackles, but this could be like your tech card. This doesn't really matter what it is. It could be a Manadrome or something. I'm just running Shackles for mirror matches, mostly to lock their Triss butterfly spell the turn that they play her. Then they're not getting that whole round of boosting. Really messes with them. Then you can always use it on like a Death Wish or something else since I'm not running any locks in this deck. That's pretty much my only lock. Then I got Decoy. Decoy is another must for this deck. It's the main card that combos with Yennefer's Unicorn that turns your 18 to 22 power boost into a 36 to 44 power boost. And that's about it for the deck. But we'll get into a couple games next. I'm using games that I already did. But if you guys would prefer live games, I can do that. Just the games I already did are easier to use because I can pause it and really explain what's going on and why I'm doing what I'm doing. But I'll see you there. The first game was against an Ethne deck, the normal tempo one, where they just plan on spamming the board with elves and stuff, and then using the 6 power card that boosts all elves by 2. End up drawing a foglet in my hand, threw that back. 2 of the crones, had to throw one of them back. And then I was looking at what I actually wanted and what I needed. Double checked on what class I was fighting. Ended up getting rid of the shackles, got another fog. So at this point I had 3 fogs. I'm pretty much set on fogs for the whole game. You only really need 3. Start off by playing my Earth Elemental. Just because it has a shield, so if he has anything that he was planning on responding to whatever I summoned wouldn't work out. Ends up searching out the card that throws a bomb at you and does 3 damage. Unlucky for him because I got my shield. So that's one of those cards down that I don't gotta worry about anymore. Used fog on that row because it's highest power out that's right now, so I know it's gonna do at least 6 power damage worth of value. And I wait for him to go. This deck is kind of, well, the opponent's deck. I don't know, this doesn't really feel that strong, but I do see it a lot. I'm figuring it counters some of the decks really well that I don't run. The most annoying thing are the bombs. Plays a face down card. I figured it was the one that when I play a card it's going to do 5 damage to me, since they usually don't play it that early. So I just play my crones because you usually want to play them round 1 anyway. Turns out it wasn't, so I knew it was a card that's going to boost all the elves on that row. He played it right into my fog, so anything he plays on that row is going to always take damage. At this point I'm 18 power ahead, but I still want to duplicate my foglets for the next round. Throws another bomb at me. Now in this game I decided not to save my decoy for Yennefer because I really want round 1. And I end up just throwing it back at him because I know he only has 1 more of those cards in his deck. And this will take care of 2 of 3 of them. And I'm far enough ahead that I don't gotta worry so much about it. I'm still 20 power ahead. Searches out another card. Surprised he didn't just clear skies one of these times. And he throws another bomb at me. But he ended up bringing out his silver elf card. So that took 3 damage. 2 damage also. Used to do 3. Copy my foglets. Get that rolling. And I just take the damage from the bomb. He ended up taking more than me. Kills off one of my crones. At this point, I'm only 10 points ahead, so I don't really want to pass yet. And I know that that card is a 6 power and going to boost all his elves by 2, so I lacerate that row. And that takes care of 3 more of his elf cards that were on that row. And next turn, that last elf will die if he doesn't play anything else there. Ends up playing his spy card that lets him draw a card. And I know he's just going to pass. He's just trying to get me to play 1 more card, so I pass. And that's round one. If you win round one, you are in a really good position with this deck, for sure. Because you're going to have the carryover and lots more foglets. You just want to try not to play Triss Butterfly spell round one. She's more of a round two play. And then Yennefer's like a round three play. Playing Triss Butterfly and Yennefer in the same round is usually not a good idea. Oh, I got shackles again, so I threw them back. It's usually not a good idea because when you play Yennefer, you're going to spawn a one unicorn, which is going to interrupt her boosting, and you're just going to sit there boosting that 1 power unicorn for a couple turns. There's one of his hand boosting cards. He didn't get it round one, which usually I always see that card round one. So I fog that row. I get my 5 foglets out. Plays another one. I just decide to duplicate more of my foglets. So that way I have 7 now in my deck. Just in case this game does go to round 3. When I play my last fog, I'll be able to get 14 power. Turns one of his cards in his hand into Scorch. This is what it's talking about. My creatures are really close to all being 5. So I know that if he Scorches, it's going to wipe my whole field. So I play the Harpy, so she starts boosting the eggs first instead. That'll buy me a couple turns. He ends up scorching away my 5-cost card. Now I know he can resurrect that Scorch with his leader ability, so I play my 6 card. So the highest unit on my board isn't 4. Because I'd be losing 7? Yeah, 7 4-power cards. Now I'm debating on just playing Yennefer if I need to. But I know how big of a problem the Scorch could be if I boost everything up and I had nothing left for the last round. He has gotten a lot of value out of his 2 6-power cards that boost something in his hand by 1, but I'm not too worried about that. Plays another Scorch, gets rid of my elemental. Now I know I have nothing to stop him scorching everything, so I just pass. I'm still 34 points ahead, so I know he needs to spend at least 2 cards to catch up with me, maybe 3. Most likely 2 though, because he's just going to leader ability the next turn. When everything hits 4 and scorch away my whole field, I'll have no carryover. But these are the times that Scorch can be a problem for this type of deck, and it's something you need to play around. Plays his Dragon because he wanted to save whatever was left in his hand. It's a card he's been boosting this whole time. He's hoping that'll be enough to get him through the last round. He uses his leader ability to play Scorch again. Wipes my field. And that gives him the round. Now we both have 2 cards, but I have 7 foglets in my deck and the unicorn. So I figured I pretty much got this. Last round I drew the Fire Elemental. One of the best cards I could have drawn out of what was left. It gives me 3 1/1s. Making the total amount of creatures that I can have out to boost 11. So that'll give my unicorn from Yennefer 22 power. Which with only 2 cards left, I figured 22 power is going to be really hard to deal with. And he ended up forfeiting. because just off that power from the foglets without boosting them, I had enough. And that's it for game 1. Let's get into game 2. Here we are at game 2, going against King Baron. It's a discard deck. Only thing I don't know is if it's Queen's Guard or the one that counts on boosting up the guy that every time you discard a card, it gains 1. Starting hand, got a foglet again through that back and the shackles. Now at this point I'm thinking about card would be the best one to keep. End up getting rid of the Water Hag just to try to draw my Woodland Spirit or Fire Elemental, something like that. End up getting another fog. Like how you're not stuck at a black screen when your opponent is still replacing cards and you're done. It is kind of nice. Turn 1, he goes first. He ends up discarding 2 more of those pirates. So I figured it's the discard deck. I just fog that row. 6 power is plenty of value for fog and damage. And I want to start multiplying my foglets right away. Ends up playing Sarah. I start multiplying my foglets. Now I'm sitting at 5 in my deck. I really do like to see 2 of those Necker Warriors in my starting hand, because then I'll have 7 in my deck and I don't have to rely so much on Unicorn. Play my Crones, thin my deck more. Now I'm down to 10 cards in my deck. And I'm 16 power ahead. Thinking about what to play. His Johnny and Sarah are done. So that's 2 less silvers in his deck. He has 4 left. Lily. Still waiting. Ends up playing Woodland Spirit, which is the card that he got to take from or copy from my deck with Sarah. Puts on my Foglet row to start getting rid of them. Probably thinking that I'm going to copy more of them. But I had no more Neckers left. Necker Warriors. So I just play a Harpy. Start making them play out longer. Gain up my carryover for the next round. Now, if he wasn't so worried about getting rid of my Foglet so he can multiply them anymore, it would have been better for him to play on my Crones row, because you get more value out of it, and I can't resummon the Crones. I play my Harpy. Second one, it's more eggs. So I have 4 creatures of carryover with 3 power. Draws 2 cards, discards 2. Now he's used all 3 of his warrior guys. So I play Geel just to guarantee that the next card is going to be what I want. And I play Butterfly, because at this point I know he's going to fight a while longer for this since he put so much into this round. And I can already get 4 value on this turn, 4 more value on the next turn, and he ends up passing. Gives me the round after that. Since I'm still 1 point behind, I end up taking it with another Harpies. This will give me 4 creatures for carryover in the second round. and I am holding on to a Decoy and Yennefer, which means I can boost them up a lot. I already got a lot of value that I can get out of that card. Plus I'm 18 points ahead. I don't mind going down one card for that. This hand was looking pretty decent, but I ended up throwing back the Earth Elemental, try to see what else I could get. Ended up getting a Necker Warrior, which is really nice. I'll make it so I can have more foglets in my deck for Yennefer, and I do have 2 fog, so I can play fog, then my Necker Warrior, and then another fog, and have 7 foglets out. At this point I had 11 creatures on the field already, and a Fire Elemental coming, which was going to boost me up to 15 creatures. I don't think he thought I was going to play out this round, because normally people pass after they win the first round, so they can go last in the last round. But with this type of deck, you want to play out the second round, especially if you win the first one, because you're going to have the carryover of the creatures that you used the last round to be able to boost up with Yennefer, and they usually can't deal with that in the second round. Put more foglets into my deck. That fog, the row that I put the fog on is kind of sitting there doing nothing, but I just wanted it to get my foglets out. Should have probably put it on the second row, just because if he does have a lacerate, most of my creatures are up on the front row. That would be the most hurtful spot, and all my fire elementals are going to go there. And with it being the second row, that'd give him the least amount of value out of a lacerate. Almost 30 points ahead again in round 2. Just waiting for him to play his card so I can play my Yennefer before anything happens. I know he probably has like 2 more of those 13 power cards in his hand, but I'm about to get 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 16, 32 points of value for my Yennefer. And I get to play her, which is rare when you have this many cards on the field, because the opponent usually just surrenders, gives you the win. Now I'm up to 82, but find out he's running a combi deck, which you rarely see at all. I've seen it like 3 times, I think, since the newest patch, so I pass. Not even going to bother substituting the unicorn because everything's going to mostly die. Shackles my Yennefer. Now I'm trying to think of what he could play, and he ends up playing that guy. So he just barely wins and gets to destroy my huge power lead. At this point, I kind of wish I kept Shackles so we could have shackled him, but I really didn't think I was facing a combi deck. Draw into an Earth Elemental. So I put Decoy back because I'm not doing the Yennefer combo anymore. I figured something else could be more useful than just giving myself 3 more power. Which an Earth Elemental is, because it's 3 more power than I would have gotten with that Decoy. Resummons one of his skirmishers with 12 power. He did get to boost that up a lot. I was not thinking it went up that high. But I play my Dogon. Get my fog out and my 7 foglets. Still puts me 7 points ahead, and then 9 points after I end my turn. Summons another one. This one has 15 power. Now he's 9 points ahead of me, technically 7. So I play my Earth Elementals, and then I win. That pretty much wraps up game number 2. Getting to my last one that I have for you. Hey, here we are with the last game. End up going against Niflheim deck. Most likely Spies, because that's pretty much one of their only valid decks that are out right now with the newest patch. I have 1 Crones in my hand, 2 Fogs. I'm throwing 1 back, getting Woodland Spirit. Now I'm looking and I got all 3 of my main golds in my hand, so I know Geel is going to be pretty much useless except for drawing a silver card. And I throw my last Fog back because I have 2 Fogs in my hand and the Woodland Spirit. Figured that was going to be good enough. Now, since he played the card that's going to deal 2 damage to me every time he reveals a card, ended up playing my Earth Elemental, pretty sure. This is what I should have done. Nope. I played my Woodland Spirit. That works too, because anything he hits, as long as he doesn't hit my Foglets, it was risky. He has a chance of losing out on 1 damage every time he reveals a card, because he could hit one of my wolves. Of course, it could have went really badly, and he could have pinged all 3 of my Foglets off, and then I wouldn't have been able to multiply them. He hit 1, he hit 2, and then I was like, oh, I think I just messed up, but luckily he didn't hit the last one. Now I play my Necker Warrior, duplicate my Foglets. He has 1 more turn to use that Trebuchet's ability. And of course, that card reveals the highest power card in my hand, my Fire Elemental. So I play out my Crones to thin my deck out more and catch back up in power. So where that card always hits your highest power card in your hand. It's like locked on. If I have the 8 power Crones in my hand, it'll always ping that. Reduces my Fire Elemental down to 1 power. It's actually the highest power card they could hit in my deck. He has a pretty nice front row there, so I end up playing Lacerate, because I'm going to get a lot of value out of that. Puts me 10 points ahead. Since I went second, being ahead when you go second is really nice. Puts you in a really nice position. That's why going second in this game is sometimes a disadvantage. An advantage with some decks. Ends up revealing his 8 power card to do 8 damage to my Crone. That puts him back in the lead. So I just put out my Fire Elemental. I figured I always could just Unicorn this round. Or play Triss Butterfly if he wants to keep playing this out. Since we are pretty close in power, I figured he was going to keep playing it out. I just drop Yennefer this round because I have a huge lead in monsters. And I have a decoy. Now I just went from 2 power behind to... No, I went from 2 power ahead to 18 power ahead with that 1 card. Plays his Spy. This is when I know they're usually going to pass unless we're semi-close after he plays it. But that puts me 22 power ahead, so I just pass. 28 power, sorry. And he gives me a round on to round 2. I had no carryover that game. Surprisingly, I didn't draw like any of my Selena Harpies, and I wasn't in a great position to play just my Earth Elemental. Ended up drawing Geel, so I threw him back because there's no other golds in my deck. All I'm going to get is a silver. Plays another Trebuchet. So I play 2 Earth Elementals. Because I know he doesn't have that many reveal cards left. And this will block a decent amount of the damage if it pings right. And it did. It hit 2 of my shields and one of them again. So we only got 2 damage out of revealing 3 cards. Now I can see what's left in my hand. But I figured I'd play it out a little bit. Try to get him to spend more. So I have 5 foglets in my deck now and my hero power still. So I know in round 3 I'll be in a good spot. Now I see he has the card that resets and locks. So I just pass now. Not worth trying to catch up. Now we're even on cards, but he does go first, so I have last say, and I got a decent amount of carryover, especially with Yennefer. End up throwing Decoy back, and not the Necker Warrior, because Decoy's getting about useless. I was hoping for something better than another Fog, because I do not need 3 of them in the last round. There's one of his spies, 14 power. So I play Butterfly so my creatures start getting boosted. Now turn 1 she's going to give me 4 power value. But then the next turn after that she's going to give me 5 more power value. Because they'll all be 3. Waiting for him to make his choice. Plan is to play the Fog, my Necker Warrior, and I was guessing I'd just spam the rest of his field with Fog. Not that it's going to do much damage. Plays another Spy. Another 14 power card. But play my Fog, get my 5 Foglets out. I'm still in the lead. Thinking he could have 1 more, but even if he does, I can duplicate 2 more Foglets and then play my hero, and they should catch me back up. But he ends up forfeiting. He must not have had the 3rd spy in his hand. But that's it for the games. I hope that gives you some idea of how to play the deck and if it's the type of deck you want to play. But I'll see you all in the next video. Yeah.